You're listening to Pardon the Disruption with your host, Tom Young.
Hey, everybody. Hey, welcome to the show. This is Tom Young. Let's go around the room.
Hey, this is Bart Gallo.
This is TJ Young. This is Rohan Kapoor.
Hey, guys. Thanks for joining the call today.
How's it going?
Good. Actually, it's not a call.
Joining the call.
Is
I was
it a
going to
call?
say, are people dialing into this?
There's someone dialing
good
in.
Thing good thing I'm a VR expert.
This is a podcast.
I'm on the bridge.
Today we're going to talk about virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality, all of the realities, except the reality that we're in. Now, we're going to talk about VR. We recently set up the HTC Vive here down in our studio lab area, played around with it. It's a lot of fun.
Studio lab, I like that.
Yeah. Well, it's right out here outside the studio.
Yeah.
And we're calling it a lab. So
It's also a
lab.
secret lab.
It's a secret lab. There you go.
Oh, it's upside down.
There you go.
Oh, man.
You can't see it.
Terrible.
Sponsored by the chairs we bought.
These are the nicest gamer chairs available. So anyway, so the VR stuff. So so if you followed a couple years ago, 2 years ago, I think Facebook bought Oculus.
Yeah, it's a bit longer than that.
So let's explain these terms a little bit because people will read about them and they'll think they're the same thing. They're not. So
Rohan, explain it to us. Great.
What is Facebook?
So Facebook is a. So are we doing all the realities?
No. That's not the right reality. Facebook was a Defense Department program that they converted over. It used to be called LifeLog, and now it's called Facebook. But anyway,
we got to save that kind of stuff for the Patreon customers. That can't be in the free version.
We need to set up Patreon
There's no
first.
evidence that Facebook is LifeLog, other than that LifeLog was set up to be exactly what Facebook is, shut down, and then the next day Facebook started. So
February 4th, 2004. Anyway.
okay, that's good, clean fun. So anyway, we're back to virtual reality is like the Oculus. We put on the headset, and what you see is a completely different reality. It is different than augmented reality. Augmented reality was like the Google Glass, Microsoft HoloLens, where you look through a transparent medium and an image is overlaid onto that medium and you see overlays. So for people familiar with that game Pokemon Go, they were one of the ones that kind of took augmented reality to the personal phone, where you look through your phone, your camera, and you see these Pokemon that are sitting out on the floor, right? Yelp does this with a feature that's deeply buried within Yelp on your mobile phone called Monocle.
IKEA. You can preview furniture. It's very good, actually. The IKEA one.
Well, that's a relatively last 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
But it's Oculus. It's not Oculus. It's what's the thing called on Yelp? I just said it. Monocle.
Yeah.
Monocle's been around for a few years. We saw some demonstrations from a company, Wipro, where they were using the smartphone cameras overlaid on, say, copier equipment and allowing for experts to remotely monitor stuff and do virtual overlays. And we sort of started looking at this when Microsoft HoloLens came out. The augmented reality technologies are, I think the marketing is much better than the technology, to be honest with you. Magic Leap was a company based down in Florida who received about $500 million of outside money from people like George Lucas and others.
Very secretive
about their technology, and they haven't been out yet. So I don't know what the hell's going on with Magic Leap.
Here's a news article from one day ago. Independent creator program graduates its first game.
I think the expectation and the reality between what they Magic Leap were delivering is quite a wide gap, and people were kind of getting frustrated. I think we also looked at a review of one of their products, and it was fairly scathing in terms of how good it was. So they've really been hyped up and not really delivered, I think, for a lot of people.
Well, the part of the offer that was intriguing, at least to me, was they filed a patent about shooting lasers directly into your eye as an alternative way to more realistically show images. So,
someone should own that.
Like typically AR and VR, VR devices, you're seeing a screen or a opaque screen with overlays there, but not shooting light into your eye.
Yeah.
I don't think what they released was that. So maybe that's way in the future, or just beta testing tech. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so I guess we've played around with the device outside, and it's pretty good.
It's HTC Vive.
HTC Vive,
mm-hmm.
Which is like Oculus, just a competitor.
Yeah, And we did. I tried out the Google Earth app, which is pretty fun. So you can fly around. People are probably familiar with Google Earth, but you can essentially fly around whichever city you want to fly around, and it's completely mapped to that location, and it's super realistic.
Some of the areas in Google Earth are rendered in 3D.
Yeah.
And what's very interesting, like they'll take buildings and use the shadowing on it to reverse engineer what it looks like in 3D. In places, famous places like Paris or Tokyo or New York City or San Francisco, they're all in 3D. A lot of suburban neighborhoods in Timbuktu are not, but the topology maps are there. So I flew over my neighborhood here, and intuitively I know what the landscape and elevations are, but until I did the Superman flyover, I didn't get a feel for the actual topology and the fact there's a ravine, not far from my house that drops off significantly. And even when you're flying around different places, like in Paris, like the Sacre-Cœur Church up on Montmartre, however the hell you say it.
Montmartre?
I think you were right, yeah. That sounds right.
Marty is up on a hill.
Yeah.
And so you can see it and that's why there's such great views from up there. But fly around the Eiffel Tower, that 432 Park Avenue.
Oh yeah.
That big skinny building up on the 56th Street. I went and stood on top of the roof and looked around like, wow, this is a great view. Now I know why it's so expensive. But you can do all kinds of stuff. It's really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
To do that.
And you still
be able to drop down the street view and then go for a walk.
Yeah. And the immersive aspect of having the headphones in and the music playing as well is really does add another dimension to it.
Yeah. Good pair of headphones really brings it to the next level, I think.
Yeah.
Well, I did it for I did it for a few times, but one shot I did maybe 45 minutes straight. And when I finished and took off the headset, it was like waking up from a vivid dream. Where oh shit, where am I? Oh, now I know where I'm at. It took me 4 or 5 seconds to acclimate back to where I was. And some of you guys who tried it, you got a little bit of motion sickness from it.
Yeah.
Right?
From the Google Earth?
Slight.
Yeah, a little bit from
everything, really. Just being
change your
in the realm.
perspective, and you're facing Earth, and you're just because you kind of lose up, down, left, right.
Yeah. Well, you're moving around. I mean, what you're seeing is not what you're feeling gravitational-wise, that's what VR gives you. AR, you maintain your physical space and your understanding. It's just overlays what you see. I do think that augmented reality is probably the bomb. When they can figure that out, it'll be much better than virtual reality.
Or I think the idea of mixed reality is a term we've used before. One of the things I was seeing in the Oculus Quest and the HTC Vive Focus Plus are kind of two of the standalone, sort of targeted at more enterprise applications. And they have some sort of APIs available for developers where you can allow some pass-through of external imaging, and you start to mix virtual and augmented reality experiences.
I think the apps that you'll see coming out and the games will leverage both of those incoming inputs, and there won't be a version of the Vive that don't have 6 cameras up front, so you could take in your surroundings or you don't have to.
Right.
So why not have both? So the ones you named, those are the standalone versions, no tether, of the traditional ones that are wired to a gaming laptop with some crazy NVIDIA GPU.
Right, which keeps the headset you're wearing lighter, but also requires you to have all this other equipment to run the experience.
Right. But how long until the mobile setup is just
lightweight? Yeah,
right. It'll
get there.
Yeah.
The Magic Leap video that they did where the aliens come out of the ceiling in the office and it's a first-person shooter.
That was almost like the Microsoft HoloLens video from 4 years ago, and this is what it is, and it's produced video of the future that mirrors nothing of what the actual product can show.
80% more transparent.
But that video, if they could achieve that, would be a complete game changer because you could turn your house into an amusement park.
Yeah.
And you have a tremendous amount of fun.
That video is 4 years ago. I can't believe that.
The concept video?
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at it. We were trying to figure out, a lot of people were trying to figure out what the technology was and how it worked. and it's very different than the holographic imposition on a transparent lens. That's one type of technology. And these guys were using something else where they were actually, as you said, shooting lasers into your eye, which I think gets into
health concerns.
I don't want to be the guinea pig on that, but it would be the concept video we saw 4 years ago. If they could achieve it in the next 6 years, would be great.
So we need to do like a follow-up podcast. I am the proud owner of an Oculus Quest as of 15 minutes ago.
Do you count that as owning? Yeah,
I own it. I just don't have it in my possession. It's somewhere. It's in a shipping container.
Is
it's
it free on board?
It's mine. So
Okay.
it's coming in 2 days. I'm going to play with it. I'll report back.
No. So how does the Oculus? Would you get Oculus what?
So they just came out with this.
Like a month ago,
all of
I think, right?
These companies are coming out with their standalone versions. So people complain about the tether coming out of the back, and you can trip on it, especially if you don't see your feet and you don't know what's going on. They just want the headset. You put it on and it works. So this is their version of it, the Quest. It's pretty much just as expensive, but you don't have to buy a gaming laptop. It's just the performance is a little bit less.
So,
in terms of like refresh rate, for example,
I'm looking forward to. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of gaming applications for this.
Yeah.
But what I found to be very interesting is just there's a relaxing element to this where you can. I was looking for some Zen applications where you can go and just say, I want to sit in this chair. I want to put the headset and goggles on, and I want to lean back, relax, and then transport myself to a waterfall in the Amazon jungle. I want to go to the top of a mountain. I want to go to the beach, and you just sit there and you can transport your reality and change. You could have a crappy apartment somewhere. You put that on, and you are in the middle of a nice place.
We were just, if you don't mind the passive experiences, YouTube has a lot of content filmed in 360, those 360 GoPro cameras.
Oh, yeah.
Competitors.
Yeah.
I found some videos in 12K. I didn't know 12K was a thing, but just flying over like
now
a
I
region.
know that exists, so I have to covet it.
Now I have to have that, right? And then it's going to be 16K, and who knows? But there's some 12K videos out there. They're unbelievable, but you don't have to interact with the environment. You're just watching and just sit down. Really amazing.
I find that stuff more interesting than games. The games that I've seen so far just seem like they're trying to mimic traditional video games in a VR sense, whereas the experiences are kind of
They don't change it.
taking advantage of a completely new medium and saying like, hey, why do points matter? Why do you need to score points and actually like navigate through a game world when you can just be transported somewhere?
When Microsoft launched Xbox, they invested in Halo as a sort of a game-breaking mold, or it was a game that broke the mold. The game was so good it was worth buying the platform. Is that fair?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact timeline of when they owned it, but
it was
flagship
launched
title.
at the same time.
Well, it wasn't originally owned by Microsoft. But,
They coordinated the whole thing together.
Right.
What's missing from these platforms is the compelling app that would say, I'm going to lay out the $400 or $500, or in some cases more. I think for us to set up the HTC Vive was probably $3,000.
Yeah, I think the laptop that we got is well overqualified for the job.
Yeah.
But,
The device itself is $500, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then it's what you're paying for is the graphics processing unit.
Yeah, well, the forward compatibility of this laptop is great. It's going to be able to stick with whatever your VR setup evolves into for a good amount of years.
Yeah, so we're setting it up we're going to set up in a lab format. But when I get the final installation and the hook up to the 82-inch 4K TV,
12K.
Yeah, we need the 12K.
to simulcast this, it'll be several $1,000s to check it out. But there are some business applications for some of these HTC Vives in terms of walkthroughs and visualizations. But I was thinking that it'd be interesting to see some stories. Like if you watch a television show, like I was watching the show that was on HBO called Deadwood. It was a Western that was shot, and they just came out with the movie sequel to the 3 seasons they had. I was interested in the Old West and how they shot some of the scenes. I was thinking, what if they did this in the VR setting where you're sitting in a room while they're filming it, and you're seeing it in an immersive sense. You're not participating. You're passive, but you're active in the sense you can turn your head and see one or another, and they look at you when they're talking, when it's appropriate, and you're more of a voyeur versus somebody in a different world looking at a flat screen.
Red Dead Redemption almost achieves that. It's just not in the VR realm.
I need
yet.
Red Dead in VR.
Yeah.
That would be unreal.
Yeah.
I think Rockstar is probably definitely looking into it. In fact, I think I saw GTA 5 on the HTC Vive kind of marketplace.
There's something you can maybe walk through the new casino. They opened a new resort in GTA.
Yeah.
So Grand Theft Auto's in VR. I have to
think
schedule a weekend for that.
Yeah, I think I saw a flash of it. It's I don't know, $60, but that's a game changer. I mean,
I also thought
they're all about the immersive open world experience. So have that in 360.
Yeah.
Grand Theft VR.
Grand Theft VR.
Oh wow.
Oh, is this their site?
It's in beta. Wow.
Okay, so this is a thing that has to be explored.
Oh my gosh. The thing is, there's just not enough time to go check all this stuff because it's.
Oh, this is.
You can lose yourself in these things tremendously. You guys played a lot of games when you were younger.
Oh, so many.
As these games get better and better, they're gonna suck you in more and more.
Yeah. So the main online marketplace for this stuff is Steam, kind of where you can go buy games and you have your profile and you can kind of get points, kind of like equivalent to I guess Xbox Live, but for an open source community for VR. They have GTA 5 here. You can buy it. We have to try that out. We need to come back, and then we need like a follow-up episode after we've.
Yeah, I kind of just want to go play VR.
We're doing a lot of speculating. We need to go back and be like, yeah, so I lost all my friends, and I'm inside now.
There's incredible.
All I do is VR.
The goggles don't
The
come off.
applications are pretty cool though.
Can I log into HTC Vive here in Branchburg, and you're on your Facebook, what the thing, Oculus in Hoboken, and we play Grand Theft Auto on Steam and interact with each other in 3D?
I don't know.
I would guess no. There's just a lot of compatibility there. I haven't heard much about interactive online gameplay in VR yet, but I just may not be aware.
No, what I'm thinking is the Steam is I'm wondering if Steam is the middleware that plays it all together, and that HTC or Oculus are just the rendering at the local endpoints and doesn't affect cloud-based gameplay.
I believe if a game is supported on both the Rift and the Vive, you can play with each other.
Okay.
But it has to be a game that's compatible with both. But
I think right now the
that.
devices are so different that you have to design the game with the endpoint device in mind.
But there should be games where you are compatible with both the Rift and the Vive.
Usually it's both of those,
Yeah.
But the one I'm getting, it's very different because it's like a standalone thing.
Right.
It's a different kind of processing power.
It's also very new, so the development community has to
It's very
hop
like
on board.
.com. And there's a war between these companies. So Bart and I were speculating before. The behemoth in the room here is going to be Apple next year.
Because they're extremely quiet on the topic.
They're going to come out with a mixed reality device, and they're going to topple the competition, I think.
Yeah.
They have a patent. There's a very secretive patent that was just kind of released a few days ago.
What's the speculation on Apple's release?
It's a mixed reality device, so it's a little bit of both.
What does Apple Insider say, Bart?
I think it'll track your eye movements, not just the room around you.
I think
your expressions.
This is what you were looking at before, right?
The 2020 glasses?
that looks pretty.
And just who knows how much money they're just devoting to this.
So
Yeah.
the iPhone chips. So they're going to launch a new iPhone with a new chipset with a heavy GPU on it. That's going to do most of the work of the glasses, and it's going to Bluetooth to the glasses, and it's going to be, think about what I like about Apple is I'm fully bought in, hook, line, sinker into their platforms. So when they launched their earbuds, the AirPods.
Oh.
Right, to me, it was a game changer. I can carry them in my pocket. They never get tangled. They always work. They pair instantly. There's none of these pairing problems I always have with Bluetooth.
You take it out, it stops what you're listening to. You put it back in.
But and they're designed well so that they're not. To me, I like them because I can leave them in, turn the sound off, and still have a conversation and hear.
Yeah.
Anyway, lots of cool design features. I'm guessing whatever they put here is going to be very well designed, heavy on the design features.
It's great if they just sit back and watch the others, watch what's coming out, see all the mistakes that are being made, and then come out with something that's just.
I would say firms like Oculus and HTC are heavy on capability and that's the driving DNA versus design. Apple's going to follow these guys and lead with design, and design will ultimately win, in my opinion.
I think so too.
So this is saying Apple describes their system as different from most AR glasses, which generally project partial images that still let you see the real world. At least one variant of its system uses pass-through video, in which cameras capture a video feed from your room. Then the headset composites digital objects onto it and then displays a resulting image in totality on a VR-like screen for you to look at.
That's what I want.
Yeah, I want that too.
I got another thing up on the screen here just to add to the immersion that's going to come to a lot of these platforms. I saw on a forum on Reddit, people were talking about Oculus Quest is working on compatibility with products from this company called Haptics, I guess it is.
Yeah.
So that you can just see here, they have vest, wrist wear, glove,
This is
type
full
accessories.
Ready Player One almost.
Yeah.
We just need the omnidirectional trackpad.
Yeah. Which a lot of shopping malls, you can go try that stuff out.
That is so cool.
So you guys have seen these these devices that rotate in 3 dimensions. So you sit in a cage, and it rotates in 3 axes, and it's meant to disorient. You need to play the game in that, so they can adjust your spatial and then move the platform. So it's 4. You can do actually 6 dimensions. So the platform can move and rock up and down and rotate.
And you can move within it as well.
And you can move within it.
Yeah.
And really create some interesting things.
That could be amazing.
That would keep you actually from, it sounds like it would make you sick, but it would actually keep you less likely to keep from getting sick, because if they can match,
because you're matched up to what you're seeing, right?
What you're feeling.
Yeah.
It won't be so bad.
Can you buy this now? Because I kind of
The haptic suit?
I want to spend everything I have on it.
I'm trying to
We're not going to ever see one again.
So here it's a lot about who's even making content that can leverage this stuff. So you can get a sense. It's not too many titles, but here you can. Super Pong sounds fun.
So the problem with this is when it takes
Final Soccer.
an engineering team to set up the platform and get it working, you're into a very, very small early adopter market.
Yeah.
And that does not allow for the content development to make it work. I mean, if you think about when they launched Halo with Xbox, I think Halo was $100 million, if I get it right.
To produce?
Rowan, look how much it cost Halo to make. I think it was over $100 million. In order to spend $100 million, you have to be able to get that money back. Now, they got it back in spades with the sale of the platform and the creation of that franchise. But
development costs for Halo 3 average out at $60 million. And that includes
marketing as well.
30 million was it marketing.
Oh, of that number?
Yeah.
So 30-30?
Yeah.
But I thought Red Dead Redemption, for example, was over 100.
The new Halo Infinite, which is the new game that's coming out, is poised for an impressive debut, boasting a budget of over $500 million.
Oh my god!
What does that mean? $1 billion almost for a game.
Half a billion.
Yeah. Here's for reference. It says Destiny and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 did not exceed $300 million in budget, which are pretty huge shooters.
Well, just for, so I'm just trying to people get it, because we're throwing these numbers around as if we're talking about Monopoly money. Lord of Rings, the 3 trilogies.
Lord of the Rings.
The Ring Lords. That movie franchise grossed about $3 billion, but cost $300 million to make, the production cost, and it took a couple of years. All major studios passed on it, and New Line Cinema bet their entire company on that project.
It's kind of like a country making a movie.
That was a game-changing
right?
So people think about the movie industry and it's a blockbuster movies, what it takes to do this stuff. These games dwarf that now. There's no movie that costs $500 million.
Is there a graph showing just general commerce happening within the gaming, like esports industry versus just cinema, film industry, ticket sales? Because the development, this is the high end of the curve here. I mean, and I think it steeply drops off after that $500 million game. But as this really picks up, I think one's going to pass the movie industry.
There we go.
In terms of revenue, it's the gaming industry is a bigger industry than Hollywood, and it passed several years ago.
It's already passed then.
And
Yeah.
take a look at this. There's a little projection.
You're talking
I
about
think you have a good one, Rowan.
video
You
games.
wanna-
Video games are bigger than Hollywood.
Let's send it to you, Bart.
Okay, that's news to me. Then I didn't know it passed yet.
Oh yeah, I
Wow.
would say
Wow, Steven Spielberg must be
2015?
so mad. It's just
Good.
like Netflix doesn't make movies.
I just sent you a link.
we might
Bart,
be able to
check
find
that
it
out.
in post production. We can find a graphic and we can find
I
it.
think
We'll show
it's
it.
right here.
Yeah,
Music, films, video games.
there it is.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, so it passed it a while ago.
I probably should know that. But
That's interesting because this is around when I was playing video games
You have to-
mostly in
But
my life. And
combine
it wasn't
music
even
and-
that big of a deal
even
yet.
music and film together, and it's still
Yeah.
it passed it 10 years ago.
I think it's painting a broad view of games too. Like any app on your phone that's a game that counts. Like Angry Birds,
Candy Crush.
Yeah,
Yeah, just
Right.
data collection games.
Well, just
I ran out of
for
lives.
reference, I saw it trending 2 or 3 weeks ago. The Pokemon Go, which I was banned for life from 2 years ago. I appealed my ban several times. I went to the Court of Last Appeals, and the ban was instituted as final.
Must have been a mistake.
But anyway, that company, as Niantic, has got about 250 employees. They're based in San Francisco, and they gross $1 billion. $1 billion a year.
And there's some interesting stats.
And they just came out with a new game called Harry Potter Wizards Unite, where they're using the Harry Potter franchise, and they're doing augmented reality with the smartphones. It's like Pokemon Go, but they changed it to wizardry. And so I played it again to see what they've updated. And what's interesting to me about the game thing, they improved the social side of it, and they started to lay the groundwork for more integrated commerce. So you can get you need special items in your game quest. You have to go to Starbucks and get it. What they haven't done yet is to say you need to go to Starbucks and buy a Frappuccino to get it.
That means if you search Starbucks VR.
Wow. So mobile games will generate.
Starbucks first in-store augmented reality experience. God,
That was 2017.
Yeah.
why are we not surprised?
Wow.
I think back to the standalone thing. I think for this to really take off, for just the average consumer to be willing to deal with this, it has to be the standalone. The cordless feature makes it so much easier to just adopt. I mean,
Price and ease of adoption, right?
the Vive is great,
Yeah.
but that was kind of a hassle to set up. That took a couple hours to do. We had to it's pretty intense research on the type of machine we had to buy to even support it.
Yeah, and like I think a lot of people enjoy doing that kind of research and tinkering and setting things up. And but if you don't,
That's not
then
the majority of
you're-
the market.
No,
Those
the
are-
definitely
majority
not.
do not.
they're
Definitely
early
not.
adopters anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
It's something.
Wait, the world's largest Starbucks spices things up with location-based
So
AR. Yeah.
this goes back to, we think about the tremendous amount of opportunities. Now I go to the series Black Mirror on Netflix, where they explore these topics in terms of their social, political, and economic consequences, and taking it to its next level, where you're actually able to stimulate, say, the visual cortex. Now, we'll do a podcast soon on machine-brain interfaces, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but Musk talked about this a couple weeks ago, where they got into some various interesting things about chip implants into the brain that are Wi-Fi connected. You can connect your brain to the cloud. It sounds crazy. It is crazy, but that is where this is headed. Because you're not going to want to carry a headset that we're even wearing right now for this podcast. You're not going to want to carry even earbuds or glasses to do this. You're going to want this to be connected, and people are going to pay for that.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's at the end of the day, it's a very antisocial hobby until it's not, and that will be the differentiator. So Facebook owning Oculus, it's already connected to that network, and Instagram, that could be a play. Or players that are just in the tech ecosystem, where like, oh, I drank the Kool-Aid with Apple. I have a MacBook and an iPhone and an iPad, and everything goes seamlessly across. Maybe I want Apple's device whenever it comes out next year because it just works with the rest of the crap I have.
Right.
So is it the tech ecosystem because that's the ease of access and kind of integration, or is it the social aspect and you have the social media companies really driving this forward?
If everyone is posting to Instagram simultaneously, who is there to like what the posts are?
I think they're actually testing out getting rid of being able to see how many people liked a certain picture on Instagram. They're testing it out in Italy and
Kylie
Australia.
Jenner write a check for $100 million to make sure that doesn't happen.
Italy and Australia, they're doing that?
A couple other countries as well. They're piloting the idea of only I can see how many people liked my own photo, because they think the implications for young people being able to see, how many people liked her picture versus mine is just, there's no upside to it.
The new thing's going to be you're going to edit your caption and be like, oh, I'm so happy I hit 5 million likes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, some
you're going to
people are
post it
livid.
yourself and it'll be like a little shameless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so TJ, it's interesting. You said that these games are antisocial, and I think they have been and can be, but will not be in the future. I think they're going to drive back to making very interesting social aspects. So let's just pick this let's just pick a random last Saturday when everyone was probably just doing their own thing, goofing off alone.
Yeah.
We could have blocked out 3 hours and been in virtual reality together and done something a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, on some level it exists, right? It's gaming online with a headset.
Yeah.
It's just you're not in VR yet, but there is the social aspect of playing a game online with other people.
So Joe is maintaining AV right now and making sure this all works. You said you went to a concert, a virtual concert in, was it AR or VR? Can you say?
Yeah, so using the Vive, there's an application you can get, or a game, whatever you call it, that you can actually join into concerts and be amongst like 30 other players, and you're all in the same environment together.
That sounds like the Marshmallow set that they did in the. We talked about that in Fortnite. Yeah. They had the special event.
Yeah,
or the
so
DJ
they're already
Marshmallow.
starting some of those experiences.
Yeah,
Marshmallow did that only in VR. It wasn't
what
Joe's saying is that they take a live thing and then they add a VR overlay so that you can be there with some other players. Marshmallow did a concert only in Fortnite.
Yeah.
I don't think it was VR. I think it was just in the game Fortnite.
Yeah.
Wow.
And everyone was just jumping around, dancing in your avatars.
So I saw the video from that Marshmallow concert, and everyone has their avatars, but it's the same face. So it's just like you're going up and down. But so these new headsets coming out are going to look at your eyes, your expressions, your cheek movements. So when you look at the avatar, it's not just the default face, and I'm supposed to believe that's Ron.
Right.
It's actually going to be matching your expressions.
Let's combine it with some of the. So again, one of our theses around future innovations are going to be the notion of recombinant innovation.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine now taking this and using the deep fake technologies that generative adversarial networks have, and to be able to take the facial expressions you have, the words you're saying, and have your avatar generated in real time by a GAN into the space, so that when I am looking through my Oculus or my Vive, I see the GAN of you, a GAN generated video of you speaking. I don't see you with a headset or some avatar that you create where you buy digital clothes. I see.
I think people are going to want to have the fake avatar. I want to be Ready Player One.
Yeah.
If you're going to be a virtual space, I don't want to look like that. I want to be something else. Why not?
Yeah, but
have some fun with it.
You're going to also want some level of authenticity.
Maybe for business stuff.
I was saying to Rohan today, authenticity is very hard to fake.
I agree with TJ. I definitely think you want to, especially for games, you want to be in a completely different.
But I get you guys. But your paradigm's the games. What if your paradigm is visiting family?
Yeah.
I want it to look exactly like the family. I don't want it.
I want to be like a panda at all times. Just why not?
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I think we just found our opening clip.
There's gonna be an opportunity to be a panda whenever you want. But I'm saying there's gonna be business applications. This has the ability to have board meetings, to have
I think he
business
still wants
meetings.
to be a panda.
There actually is a VR game. You can become an eagle and just fly around to see what's going on in a post-apocalyptic world.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking of this board meeting, and I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and Bart and I was talking, and Bart looks over my shoulder. He's like, "Why is there a panda sitting across the table?" That's TJ.
Going over quarterly
he shows
results.
up as a panda now.
Yeah.
It's going to be a panda with like a tie. That's it.
No, there's gonna be a panda sipping a frappuccino from Starbucks and get points for Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
These are the best possible uses.
So anyway, this a lot going on here. I think a lot of money's being spent here by companies. So you know that there's something going to come out of this. I mean, it's billions and billions of dollars are going.
It'll be cool to see when Apple comes out. I think that's going to be really, really cool to see.
That's going to be off the charts. I just have so much confidence in how they're going to enter the space for sure.
I agree. That's my bet.
Well, you know, there's a lot of talk about how they are at the end of their cycle in their current product line.
Yeah.
That they really need to change up the game.
Yeah, it's like they just allow you to get something in a color you can get it in before to innovate every time a new year comes around of Apple products. So I agree. They need
what
to
I'm saying is
break through into something new, I think.
Yeah, I think they're probably laughing behind the scenes because they know what's coming.
I think they're always laughing. They have more money than the U.S. Treasury, so that's reason to laugh. It would make me laugh.
Well, they will make you upgrade your phone for the chipset that's going to come with it. That's going to do, as you know, we just had the event last week with IBM, with Rob High on edge computing. The Apple phone is going to be an edge computer for you.
Yeah.
And that's going to be connected to the cloud at all times, and to be able to cache stuff and process information from your environment locally, and then exchange that with the cloud. And I think that's where Apple's going to see probably some tremendous things. And when they combine it with good design around the accoutrement that goes with that, it could be a headset, glasses, the audio, even some fashion things like with the haptic wear. You're going to start to see people upgrading all their phones to move to the next generation. And these phones are already expensive. They're $1,200, $1,100 for one of the jack phones.
Yeah.
And when you drop it, you're like, oh my gosh. You know, it's a lot of money, and for some people, that's a significant amount of money relative to their income.
Yeah.
Right? You're carrying around something that's equivalent of a laptop in your pocket at all times. Mm-hmm. Carrying it by the pool, you drop it in. So,
yeah.
Anyway, you guys bullish on this whole area?
Yeah, this podcast is making me want to go play the demo we have set up here.
Yeah, I think we're speaking from speculation, not experience. So we'll need to do like a part 2 of this in like maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah,
do a little bit more experimentation.
Maybe talk about some of the darker implications as well.
Yeah,
where this goes.
I'm gonna look more pale.
Yeah.
I thought having TJ show up as a panda from now on was pretty dark.
I don't know. If you go on Steam, we won't go into too much detail in this on the podcast, but there's a lot of like virtual companion type apps that they're piloting.
That's such
platforms.
a nice way to put it. Virtual companion app.
Yeah,
wow.
no, seriously, it's more. I thought it was more like a joke, but a lot of these games exist. I guess you could call them games.
I guess there's a portion of the early adopting like VR audience that are people that would want this, that are maybe a bit lonely.
Yeah, I would say sex and gambling are going to be early adopters of this. So you got to think of like in New Jersey now has online gambling, and it's highly competitive. They throw out all these promotions to get you to play, to try to hook you in with it. And imagine now you can get the next thing is a virtual environment where you can go in and play. Is that funny, playing virtual gambling?
Well, one of the criticisms I heard of this new, they opened a resort in the online Grand Theft Auto universe. It's like branded, like no breaking of the fourth wall. It's like come to Foxwoods or whatever the name of it is. And it's a new resort that you can go to in the game, and you can gamble with fake money, and you can buy fake money with real money.
You can't cash out though, right?
They give everyone free 500 tokens to when they sign up to go to the resort for the first time, and when they inevitably run out, you have to refill your account.
Can you refill your account with real money?
With credit card money. So there's a lot of kids playing GTA 5 who are going to go do this. Yeah. Their parents' credit card hooked up to their account. they're going to take the free tokens, lose it immediately at blackjack or roulette or something, and then just...
And then they're like, Mom, Dad, that game I was running over innocent pedestrians in a car in, now I'm gambling real money.
What? No, I need to be bailed out. Yeah.
You can't cash that out for real money, though, can you?
That would be real gambling, Bart. I mean, Rohan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying Pokemon Go does the same thing. They give you free coins.
How do they get away with that? Like
then-
proxy
That's
tokens?
unbelievable.
No.
Is there a law around that?
If you want to buy, just like, so like, I don't know why people do it, but you can buy outfits for your avatar. You want a special shirt, it's $3. Now, if you think that that's crazy, the digital market for those kind of things, digital goods like fake clothes and shoes for your avatar, is multi-billion-dollar industry. And the cost of goods sold is just about zero. Right? Because, so like, an example would be on I was looking at the Pokemon Go structure. They let you collect, I think, 250 Pokemons in your backpack. If you want to collect more, you have to pay $1 to expand it 50 to 300, another $1 to go to 350. And there are people out there who have, 3,000 capacity because they spent the money.
Well, Fortnite's free to play, and they made $2.5 billion in 2018.
Because they're selling you tricked out stuff.
Dances.
And then the other issue is do the math on whether it's worth it or not. If you're spending hours doing something and it costs you an extra $5, I mean, you just spent $5 at Starbucks for a mocha frappuccino.
15 Million Merits on Black Mirror did a good job depicting that. If you are fans of Black Mirror out there.
Mm-hmm.
I think Charlie Booker taps into a lot of the dark side of these technologies and where they're going. I like to look at both sides, the dark side and the upside, because I think there's a lot of cool business applications here.
Mm-hmm.
That I think if you combine a lot of these technologies with different things, you're going to see disruptions into business travel, into social, the way we interact. I think you can see some business models change. I like the thing in 15 Million Merits where the walls are basically high-res displays, and they're integrated. So imagine like this table in the podcast room abutted to the wall. This wall is a high-res display, and there's another room just like it, and they're butted up, and they virtually connect the rooms together. So now we're sitting in a room, and now instead of a table with 5 of us sitting around, there's a table with 10 of us sitting around. There's 5 and sitting in San Francisco or Paris or somewhere else, and the audio's figured out, and it's just like we're hanging out, right? And we could be served drinks and beers and order stuff and Venmo each other money back and forth, and that's you can have some very interesting socialization. Now we're many years from that happening, but maybe not as many as you think.
Mm-hmm. The new telepresence rooms, what is it, Cisco doing the executive ones where they do the whole room. They curve the screens in a way where you have a kind of a portion of a circle in terms of how your desks are lined up, and then they have something very similar on their end. And the way it's positioned is they have the screens wrapping around that kind of mirror their version of the desk. So it's like they're sitting there. I had a part of some of those meetings before. It's very close. And then, 10 minutes into the meeting, you can kind of fool yourself into thinking, oh, they're actually there in front of me, and forget that you're looking at screens.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But it's the full immersive experience.
Those are very expensive rooms.
Yes.
Like $100,000 to set those up.
But it's multi-camera. So I remember I was in one of those sessions, and the guy sitting in the middle would actually look to his left, because everyone kind of has their own screen, and I could see him looking to the left, and it looked like he was looking at the person on my side who he was addressing.
Well,
that's pretty crazy.
Well, we played around with that robot Beam. I think it was called Beam.
Yeah, Beam and Beam Pro.
Yeah,
right.
And it was a couple $1,000s, maybe $2,000 or $3,000, and it would basically put your face on an iPad, and you'd walk around, and you could see, and you would turn, and you would look, and it gave a feel of you being there in a way that's hard to describe unless you've seen it. Even the people who were on the Beam Pro, they could sit in the room, and they could rotate and face and look at you.
Yeah.
And it was like they were at the meeting. We had a meeting with people on Beam, and it was pretty interesting. But if you think about it, if you in using Beam, I'm not doing a commercial for them. They can sponsor our next show. But if you're like a plant manager and you got to make multiple visits to say 10 places, that's annoying travel to go do that. If you can maybe cut back your travel by 50% or 75% and make more visits virtually and less visits in the analog world, you're gonna save a lot of time, a lot of money. It's going to impact the way we work and live.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I think what I'm trying to figure out is where we're going to start to see disruptions and dislocations that create opportunity and create risk for existing firms today.
Yep.
I think you'll see it affecting school in terms of learning, especially with kids who can't pay attention to you at a chalkboard because they have a supercomputer in their pocket.
Yeah.
So just play into it, adopt some judo-like techniques and say, no, we're going to give into that and we're going to use your phones. They're already handing out iPads for, if you're not aware of this, they're giving people, kids iPads now in school, especially in college too. Makes sense. But use VR, especially for, things like anatomy and medicine to learn stuff like that, but actually learn visually.
Yeah.
In a medium that they're very comfortable and have a lot of practice
and they get excited
existing
for, right.
in. Yeah.
So anyway, we'll do a follow-up. And again, I think, let's do some hands-on, play around after you get your headset. We'll play around more with the HTC Vive and compare it to the Oculus. I think we're still in this mode where the hype far exceeds. When I look at we watched that SAP Vuzix that demo where the guy's driving down the street and all of a sudden gets a job and he's walking through the stadium to put the lights back on. That is game-changing technology that will change field service engineering and change our economy in terms of employment, the whole gig economy. There's a whole bunch of things that happen from that, except it doesn't work the way that they advertise it. It's much more marketing slick than it is technology realistic. And until we get to that point, which could take a couple years, but I think in the meantime we have to think through what are some of these implications and play around with how close this is.
Yeah. So we should spend the next 2 weeks playing
VR.
Solidly.
Yeah. Well, imagine Bandersnatch, which we watched on Netflix, interactive video on Netflix using the Black Mirror series. Imagine putting that in VR.
Right. That's the recombinant innovation concept we talk about all the time.
I'm getting stressed out thinking about that, where the scene freezes around you and there's two options that just appear, and you get to. That would freak me out a little bit.
I can't wait.
Can you? I think on the follow-up episode, you should definitely come dressed as a panda.
I'm buying one. Yeah, I don't have any money left though. I got to spend on the Oculus Quest.
But TJ, the way it was done on the interaction for Bandersnatch on Netflix is you had to click a button, so it was sort of the API, if you will, between you and Bandersnatch was the clicking of a button. It was very simple. But what if the API in VR was a verbal cue, that where you're sitting there and the character looks at you and says, "Should we jump or not?" And based on what you say, it acts.
And how
it
you say
interprets what you said, looking for a binary answer, but you didn't give a binary answer, and it has to interpret that and then act on it, just the way a person would. I could say, should we jump? I don't think we should do anything. Is that a no? They could film a whole bunch of things and then act on that, and then all of a sudden now you become part of the story in a way that is going to be very interesting.
It's just increased cost of development, right? If you don't want 2 paths, you can film 10 paths and have a catch-all. It's a lot more expensive.
Live rendered.
But as soon as you think about avatars with GANs, your ability to put actors in there and then have the GANs act out the parts. I mean, again, this stuff is rapidly.
That's out there.
It is in a linear sense. In a non-linear sense, it might not be.
You catch up to that curve pretty quickly, right?
Well, I mean, I just look at how fast things are moving right now. A year moves by and a lot of stuff happens in a year. And the next year won't be like the last year. It'll be even more. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I tend to be overly optimistic on the timelines in terms of how fast this stuff is going to get cracked. But that's a parlor game trying to predict the timing. It's an eventuality. Mm-hmm. That's the Sam Harris argument, right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, it's good. So let's go play with the HTC. Let's get
immersed.
Let's film Karen doing a little bit.
Yeah, we should get her on the Google.
Okay.
That's cool.
All right. See you guys.
Thanks everyone.
See ya.
Hey, thanks for listening to Pardon the Disruption. We'd like you to subscribe to our podcast if you like it. You can find us on most of the platforms where you get your podcast from, whether that be iTunes or YouTube or whatever you're on. We also want some feedback. Which shows do you want us to cover? What do you like? What do you not like? So that we can do this. We're doing this for you. We're not doing this for anything else. So please subscribe and give us some feedback. Thank you very much.